The subtle psychological shifts that make women trust your long-term potential. The pattern break, the lie most men believe. Most men think if they want a woman to trust them long-term, they need to impress her. Big gestures, big effort, big emotional displays. Flowers, paragraph texts, constant attention, and on the surface, it looks right. Because she smiles, she responds, she appreciates it. But here's the hidden truth no one tells you. Those big gestures don't build trust. They create pressure. Because psychologically, when something feels too intense, too fast, the brain doesn't read it as safe. It reads it as unstable. This is why love bombing works short-term, but fails long-term. It creates dopamine, but not security. And here's the deeper shift. Attraction can be triggered by intensity, but trust is built on predictability. And in today's world, women are more aware than ever. They've seen patterns. They've experienced inconsistency. They've learned the difference between performative behavior and real character. So when a man comes in too strong, too fast, too eager, it doesn't feel romantic. It feels like he's trying to prove something. And that's where the doubt begins. The real pattern break. The men who build long-term trust don't overwhelm her. They don't try to win her instantly. They do something far more powerful. They remain calm, consistent, and slightly unpredictable, because this signals something rare. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here as I am. And that energy is what creates psychological safety. Not effort, not performance, not chasing, but stability without desperation. The hidden logic, what actually builds trust. There is a moment, a very specific moment, when a woman starts to trust a man. It doesn't happen when he's being nice. It doesn't happen when he's trying hard. It happens when she sees this. He doesn't change under pressure. That's the switch. Because most men are emotionally reactive. When things are good, they're confident, they're relaxed. But when tension appears, they get defensive. They over-explain. They try to fix everything immediately. And in that moment, she sees something important. His emotional state depends on the situation. That's instability. But when a man stays calm, even when things get uncomfortable, something shifts in her mind. He's safe. Not safe as in boring. Safe as in his nervous system is stable. And this matters more than anything, because long-term attraction isn't built on excitement alone. It's built on emotional security and consistency. Emotional constancy. This is what most people never learn. Emotional constancy means you don't fluctuate based on her mood, her reactions, external stress. You stay grounded. If she pulls back, you don't panic. If she tests you, you don't react. If tension appears, you don't lose control. And here's what that does psychologically. It removes unpredictability from you, while maintaining it in the dynamic. That balance creates attraction and trust at the same time. The trust bank. Every small action you take either builds trust or removes it. You say you'll call. You call. You make a plan, you follow through, you stay consistent over time. This creates something invisible, a trust bank. And here's the key. Small, repeated consistency outweighs any grand gesture. Because trust is not emotional. It's cumulative, and most men are inconsistent in small things, while trying to be impressive in big things. That's backwards. Non-reactive boundaries. The signal of real strength. Now, here's where things change completely. Most men think boundaries push women away, that saying no will make her lose interest. So what do? They over-accommodate. They agree too much. They avoid conflict. And in doing that, they lose something critical: respect. Because boundaries are not rejection. They are structure, and structure creates safety. The psychological shift, when a man can calmly say, "I'm not okay with that. I can't do that right now. That doesn't work for me." Without anger, without defensiveness, without over-explaining. It signals something powerful. He cannot be controlled. And paradoxically, that makes her feel more secure. Because now she knows where your limits are, what you tolerate, how you operate. And clarity creates comfort. Why this builds trust. Most people are unpredictable. They say yes, then resent it. They agree, then withdraw later. That inconsistency creates anxiety. But when your boundaries are clear and consistent, she doesn't have to guess. She doesn't have to test. She doesn't have to she can relax. And that's the real goal. Not to impress her, not to win her, but to create an environment where she feels safe enough to invest emotionally. The mistake most men make, they confuse being nice with being trustworthy. But niceness without boundaries feels weak, while calm boundaries feel strong. And strength is what trust attaches to. Integrity over validation. The shift she feels immediately. Most men operate from a hidden need. Do they like me? And that one question controls everything. How they speak, how they act, how they respond. They adjust themselves constantly. Different room, different personality. Different woman, different behavior. And they think this is social intelligence. But psychologically, it signals something else. Lack of identity. Because when a man changes depending on who he's around, he's not leading. He's adapting for approval. And here's what women instinctively detect. He's trying to be accepted, not respected. The real shift. A man with long-term potential doesn't move based on validation. He moves based on values. That means he doesn't agree just to avoid tension. He doesn't change his stance to be liked. He doesn't perform to impress. He stays consistent. And this creates a powerful psychological signal. This man is internally grounded because his behavior isn't influenced by social pressure, emotional fluctuations, external opinions, and that stability feels rare. Why this builds trust? From a psychological standpoint, humans are constantly scanning for predictability and identity. Because unpredictability and identity means unpredictability in behavior. And unpredictability feels unsafe. So when a man stays the same, in public, in private, under pressure, it creates something deep. Identity trust. And identity trust is stronger than attraction, because attraction brings you in, but trust keeps you there. What most men do wrong. They prioritize being liked, being agreeable, and avoiding conflict. And slowly, they lose their edge. Because the moment you start performing, you stop being real. Women don't trust performance. They trust consistency of character. The micro-honesty technique. The trust multiplier. This is where things get extremely powerful. Most men think trust is built by hiding flaws, looking perfect, and avoiding mistakes. But the opposite is true. Trust is built through something called micro-honesty. What is micro-honesty? It's the ability to be honest in small moments before they become big problems. For example, admitting you forgot something, owning a mistake immediately, being transparent instead of defensive. These are small things, but psychologically, they signal something massive. You value truth over image. And that's rare, because most people protect their image at all costs. They deflect, justify, and minimize. And over time, that creates doubt. But when you consistently show, I'm not hiding anything, her brain relaxes. Because now she doesn't have to question your intentions, analyze your behavior, or second-guess your words. The psychological effect, micro-honesty, removes cognitive dissonance. There's no mismatch between what you say and what you do. And when that alignment is clear, trust builds rapidly. The mistake most men make. They think honesty makes them look weak, so they avoid admitting faults, try to maintain control, and hide imperfections. But this creates the opposite effect, because perfection feels fake, while transparency feels real. And real is what people trust. The grounded presence, the transformation point. Now we bring everything together. All these traits, emotional constancy, boundaries, integrity, honesty, they all lead to one outcome. Grounded presence. This is the energy shift, the transformation, the thing she feels, even if she can't explain it. What is grounded presence? It's when you become calm without effort, stable without rigidity, confident without needing validation. You're not chasing, you're not proving, you're not reacting. You're just solid, and this creates something powerful. She can relax around you, because she doesn't have to manage your emotions, reassure you, or stabilize the dynamic. You already did that internally. The shift from pursuit to pillar. Most men operate from pursuit, trying to win her, trying to impress, trying to maintain attraction. But men with long-term potential operate as a pillar. They don't chase. They hold structure. And here's what happens when you become that. She starts investing naturally. Not because you asked, not because you forced it, but because your presence feels like something worth attaching to. The feedback loop. You stay grounded. She feels safe. She invests more. You remain stable. Attraction deepens. And over time, this becomes instinctual trust. Not logical, not forced, but felt. The complete mindset shift. From chasing to becoming. At this point, you've seen all the pieces. Emotional constancy, boundaries, integrity, micro-honesty, grounded presence. But none of this works if your mindset is still the same. Most men are still operating from one place. How do I get her? And that question is the root of the problem. When you're focused on getting her, everything becomes strategic and reactive. You start measuring her responses, her attention, her behavior. And without realizing it, you lose your center. The real shift, you stop asking, how do I win her? And start becoming someone who doesn't need to win anyone. That's the difference. Because long-term trust isn't built by effort. It's built by identity. When you become stable, self-directed, and emotionally grounded, you stop chasing connection and start attracting investment. This is what women actually trust. Not your words, not your promises, but your consistency over time. Because consistency proves something deeper. This is who he is, not who he's pretending to be. And that's what creates long-term safety. The daily framework. How to apply this in real life. Now let's make this practical. Because without application, this is just theory. Rule 1. Control your baseline. Every day, your emotional baseline should remain stable. No extreme highs, no emotional crashes. Because instability destroys trust. So you practice calm responses, measured reactions, controlled communication. Not robotic, just grounded. Rule 2. Follow through on everything. If you say it, you do it. Even small things. Especially small things. Because trust is not built in big moments. It's built in repetition. And every time you follow through, you reinforce your identity. Rule 3. Never over-explain yourself. Most men ruin their image here. They justify everything, explain too much, try to be understood instantly. But here's the truth. Over-explaining equals seeking validation. Instead, say less. Be clear. Move on. Because clarity signals confidence. Rule 4. Maintain your own direction. Your life cannot revolve around her. You need goals, focus, structure. Because when your life has direction, you become a moving target. And moving targets create attraction, while stagnant ones create boredom. Rule 5. Allow space without panic. This is where most men fail. When she pulls back, they react. But your job is to stay grounded in absence. No chasing, no over-texting, no emotional reaction. Because space is not a threat. It's a test of your stability. And when you pass it, trust increases. The long-term attraction loop. Why this lasts for decades. Now we arrive at the final piece. Because what you're building here is not short-term attraction. It's something deeper. Long-term emotional security. The loop. You stay grounded. She feels safe. She invests emotionally. You remain consistent. Her trust deepens. Attraction stabilizes. And this repeats. Over and over. Until the relationship becomes effortless stability and quiet attraction. Why this works? Because you're no longer relying on excitement spikes, emotional drama, or constant stimulation. You're building something stronger. Predictable safety and controlled unpredictability. That balance is rare. And rare is what people hold on to. Final truth. Most men ignore. You cannot fake this. You can copy behaviors. You can imitate confidence. But over time, inconsistency always exposes you. Because trust is built through time, repetition, and alignment. Not tactics. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Women don't trust what you say. They trust what you consistently show. Not once, not twice, but over time. So stop trying to impress. Stop trying to prove yourself. Stop trying to control the outcome. Instead, build yourself into someone stable enough that trust becomes automatic. Because when you become grounded, consistent, non-reactive, and self-directed, you don't just attract attention. You become someone she sees as a long-term decision. And that's the level most men never reach.